Nobody warned her.
Not one person in that house. Not the man who called himself her family. Not the woman who looked the other way. Some betrayals don't arrive with warnings. They arrive wearing the face of someone you trust. And by the time you understand what happened, something inside you has already changed forever. But here's what they never tell you. The girls who survive the unsurvivable don't just recover, they become something so powerful that the people who caused the damage can barely look them in the eye afterward. Stay with me, because what Lily did next, nobody saw coming. This is broken then powerful, where pain turns into power. Her name was Lily. 17 years old, the kind of girl who moved through the world like she was apologizing for existing. Quiet, careful, always making herself smaller than she truly was. Her mother had died when Lily was 9, and grief does something strange to a household. It doesn't just take a person, it removes the warmth from every room. Her stepfather remarried quickly. A woman named Diane who kept the house spotless and her feelings even cleaner. Diane wasn't cruel. She was simply absent, and sometimes absence is the loneliest cruelty of all. Lily ate her meals quickly, spoke in single words, kept her bedroom door locked, not for privacy, for safety, because her stepfather had a habit of entering rooms without knocking, and Lily had learned that screaming wouldn't help, so she did something else instead. She wrote everything down, she stayed silent, but she was never weak. She had a journal, old, broken spine, pages soft from the nights she cried without making a sound. Inside those pages she recorded everything. Every date, every time, every single word he said while Diane slept down the hall. Not because she was planning revenge, but because writing it down was the only way to remind herself that she was real, that what was happening was real, that she mattered, even when no one around her acted like she did. Then one morning she couldn't get out of bed. Her body understood something her mind wasn't ready to face. By the 3rd week of missed school, a teacher named Mrs. Calloway noticed, not just the absences, the expression Lily had worn the last day she came in. The way she sat near the door. The way her shoulders rose at sudden sounds before she could stop them. Mrs. Calloway had seen that look before, in her own daughter, 20 years ago. She had missed it then. She was not going to miss it again. She made one phone call, and the silence that had protected the wrong person for years finally broke open. When the counselor sat with Lily in a small room, 2 chairs, a box of tissues, Lily didn't cry. She didn't beg anyone to believe her. She simply reached into her backpack and placed the journal on the table, quietly, deliberately, like she had been waiting for exactly this moment. Because she had. Inside that journal was 2 years of dates, times, and details, written in the steady handwriting of a girl who somehow always knew that one day someone would finally be ready to read it. But they didn't know. What was inside those pages wasn't just pain. It was the most complete record of abuse any investigator in that county had ever seen. Unshakable, undeniable, every single entry. The medical examination confirmed what the journal had already told them. Lily was pregnant, and the father was the man who shook hands at church every Sunday. The arrest happened on a Tuesday. Diane stood in the doorway with her arms crossed. The neighbors gathered on their lawns. The church friends stared at their shoes. And Lily walked out of that house with one bag, and Mrs. Calloway's steady hand on her arm. She looked straight ahead. Not once did she look back. That was the moment Lily stopped surviving and started deciding. That was their biggest mistake. Everyone who looked away, every person who sensed something was wrong, and chose their own comfort over her safety. They all assumed what had been done to her had broken her completely. It hadn't. It had stripped away every single thing she had never needed to carry in the first place. The shame, the silence, the weight of protecting people who never protected her. And underneath all of that was something they never once considered. A girl who had been quietly preparing her entire life. Lily went into foster care with a quiet couple who had a garden and a dog named Franklin. Franklin slept at the foot of her bed every night. Like he had decided she needed a guardian, She gave birth to a daughter. She held her in a hospital room with yellow curtains and afternoon light. And for the first time in years, she cried from something that felt like hope. She named her Grace because that was exactly what this child was, an unexpected gift, in the middle of the hardest chapter of her life. And then, Lily did something nobody expected. She studied, not because anyone pushed her, not because anyone believed in her, but because she had already survived the unsurvivable. And she understood something most people never learn. Surviving without purpose is just a slower way of disappearing. So she chose purpose. She chose herself. At 19, highest GED score in her testing center. At 22, university degree in social work. First in her entire family. At 25, Lily walked back into the same courthouse where he had been sentenced. Not as a victim, as a licensed child advocate, with a caseload full of children whose files had different names, but the same eyes. She recognized every single one, because she had worn that expression herself. At 19, highest GED score in her testing center. At 22, university degree in social work. First in her entire family. At 25, Lily walked back into the same courthouse where he had been sentenced. Not as a victim, as a licensed child advocate, with a caseload full of children whose files had different names, but the same eyes. She recognized every single one, because she had worn that expression herself.